So, what happens in Hydroneer when you have just way too much time on your hands at certain points in life? You build something of this size. 70,000 Hydro coin in this game. 6 hours of work going backwards and forwards to shops building this monstrosity to be able to perform how much you can maximally earn in just 5 minutes before the lag takes over. This was a labour of love because I've got to be honest, I wasn't getting paid to do this. This is just me being a moron, doing a social experiment and seeing if it is possible to earn more than enough money in just 5 minutes so you are happy with the haul that you're going to produce that's going to take you 25 minutes to clean up. Let's put it this way, cleaning up after this was just a pain in the ass. But was it worth it? Find out in this video as we run through the wall of the monstrosity. Because I've got to be honest, that's pretty much what I called it. The wall of monstrosity. Because it's just ridiculous. I mean, it's literally just a big grey wall of metal. It is ridiculous. So after doing certain experiments on this channel, using the ram drill versus a Goliath and the buckets versus a ram drill, and really just going through the basics of this game, which I'm still going through to this day. In order to actually sort of follow up, I had to go to the extra mile. I've already covered how to be a starter in this game, and I figured that I might as well do it at the end game as well. End game is literally just having what you can see in front of you. A giant monstrosity of a contraption put together over time to basically prove once and for all how long it takes to lag the game out and how much you can earn within a certain amount of time. All my experiments on this channel are 5 minutes long. I literally ran a ram drill versus a Goliath for 5 minutes just to see how much money it's worth, and is it really worth going that extra mile for Goliaths, or is it easier to go automated? I gotta be honest, I don't really want to do this as a Goliath drill because the Goliaths produce way bigger nuggets. It was one of those things that I had in my head, I had to do it, and I probably won't do it again after this for a little while. But this is a really good way to earn money. So yeah, let's get into this now, shall we? Every time you turn this on, and then you turn it off, you have to empty every single one of these chambers. And if you don't empty the chambers, you get build-ups, and then you get problems. So with the machines ready to go, I'm about ready to turn it all on. There are various stopcocks on this system to stop certain things happening, and I'll explain them as I go through. So this one here controls the main water pressure that feeds all of this piping. This one controls the ram drills, so when it gets to a point of being too laggy, then I can shut off the ram drills and process all the gold and all the stuff through the conveyor belts until it is all gone. Now I've done this once and I did this on a live stream, and the live stream went okay. We had a couple of issues and I've basically sorted them out now. I have tested this machine full pressure, but since the live stream, this would be the first time I've turned this on. Okay, so we're coming up now. So I'm gonna try and do this for 5 minutes. As you can see, the ram drills themselves are working on their own sort of score of power, but they are all working. It starts getting a little bit laggy after about 20 seconds. So as you can see, we're producing so much gold, it cannot cope with it all. And we got a breakage. We got a breakage. Okay, so we've been running for 2.5 minutes now. We've got another 2 minutes to go before we have to start turning things off. But this is ridiculous. Okay, so to explain what has gone on, I've actually had to turn the valve off now. We ran it for a couple of minutes. Well, we ran it for 4 minutes, and then it's literally having to slow down now. The game is going to have to process everything, and then from there, we'll see how things go. You guys are lucky. This will be skipped for you and you don't have to watch this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up all of these parts here. Everything that's laying on the floor, I'm going to put it into its own crucible. And I'm going to melt it down into whatever comes out of it. That's why there's a furnace in the corner. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how much money this made within the 5 minute segment. Okay, so everything that's on the conveyor belts, everything that's all dripped over here, this is all going into these pots. All of this stuff all over the floor, I'm going to collect up. All the stuff that's on the conveyor belts, I'm going to pick up. And we're just going to make sure that this thing is actually viable financially. If you guys like this video, it's all good. Let me know down in the comment section below your builds. I'd love to hear your thoughts of how you're building, what you're doing, and so on and so forth. And I'll get into cleaning right now. So as I went through all of the cleaning process, I came to realize that there were a couple of things missing off this build, just to make things that little bit easier on little old me. Firstly, make sure you put metal things up the sides of your conveyor belts, even if you're putting them against a brick, because this thing still happens. You still get the odd nugget sitting on the edge, and this could cause problems later on. This could be one of those things that basically makes your game lag. If you get a trapped nugget and it's jumping around, that means it's having a go at the actual scenery itself. So I did it on this bit, but I'm not sure why I didn't do it anywhere else. And after wondering this, I only ever noticed I had nuggets left on the right hand side of the conveyor belt. On the left, because I'd put up all of this like metal stuff all down one side, it worked. There was no problems. But every so often on the right hand side, I would come across one stray nugget, bits and pieces that were just left on the sides, and genuinely just a little bit of sight concern that if you're going to build a conveyor belt like this, making both the sides metal on each side is probably the best way forward. Another thing I came to realize is when cleaning all this out, I really need to level off the floors. It just makes it a lot easier to clean, and in all fairness, having all these bits laying around on the floor and all the bits and like hacked up pieces of rock, and it just makes it harder and harder to clean your floor out. A couple of things I've been picking up, a couple of things I do have to change, and at the end of the day, it would help. It would really help if you have to clean up faster. Make sure all your conveyor belts are on wood, or flooring at least, because if they're on a flooring, it means that it's easy to clean. Alright, so this is the first crucible. This is the one that was made up of all of the stuff that was spilt over the edges, in the conveyor belt, between the cracks, all that sort of thing. Now, as you can see, most of the stuff down here is gold, so I'm not going to be able to separate this a lot. Thankfully, crystals, well, the gems don't fit into a crucible, so what we're going to do is we're going to bunch all this up together. Hopefully, we'll be able to clean this up properly. So this is a lot of gold. This is everything that basically came out of that one machine in such a small amount of time. And it's even lagging the screen now, just trying to get all this into the crucible. So I'm not going to grind all these up. I'm just going to sell the whole lot, and we're looking at how much we're going to make in one go. That's literally how we're going to have to do this. So I've sorted out the gold section of it all. I'm just going to make another battery here as well, so we can take the crystals, and then we'll go through the metal as well. So there's a lot of crystals in here. This is going to be good for another battery or two. Well, maybe just one actually. I can chop them up in half if I do get low, but if I run this machine for just 5 minutes each time, and this is how much I'm getting back, I'll just run it another 5 minutes and be happy. So running this machine is more of it's more of a goal. Personally, it was just an idea, something that I came up with, and something I decided, you know what, I don't think anybody else has tried this. But it is one of those things I just decided, you know what, we're going to give this a go, see what happens. And that's why we spent nearly over 70,000 Hydro coins to build this monstrosity. I don't know if anybody else has ever built anything this big, but hey, it's definitely worth a go. So this is the barrel that was just all the stuff laying around. This was just the scraps, basically, the bits and pieces that, you know, well, really nobody really wanted. It's just there. So we'll stick this on the end of my belt of crucibles, and we'll be all right. Let's just see how much this one's worth, shall we? So this is just scrap, the stuff that was just laying around, and it's worth 3,900. So 3,900 is nearly 3 times as much as like one ram drill running for 5 minutes consecutively. So I had 4 grand's worth of scrap just laying around. Let's get the metal like solidified, and let's turn this into a block. All right, let's get the gold up there as well. So we'll stick that on furnace for now, and we'll weigh the bar. 7.5 grand. What we'll do is we'll turn this into a sword, just because it's the biggest item. We can stick it in the shop. Is it really worth me doing it the whole time? No. And this is why I built the smaller plant, so I could just run this casually and just be happy knowing I'm making money. Or if I want to do a little bit of digging, I can go down and sit in the Goliath. To really make sure this value of this machine is really worth it, I have to do this experiment to basically see how much money this machine can make me within a very short amount of time. The short amount of time being the fact that I'm able to be able to do this like very quickly as well, which is quite nice. But the downside is the maintenance, the having to fix all the machines all the time, having to mess around with like cleaning up all the time, even just digging out bits of gold from like machines that have like swallowed everything. That is how I've had to do this, and at the end of the day, it's a little bit of a pain in the ass. This is sort of why I was doing this experiment, to see, is it really worth your time really spending 70 grand on a mass machine to produce this much gold? Or would you just be better off casually playing this game and being happy knowing that you're making money steadily? So we made a Mr. T necklace, we've made ourselves a giant sword, and we've got a bar of gold worth nearly 4 grand, which isn't too shabby for just 5 minutes worth of work. The downside is the smelting, getting rid of all the crystals, doing this up, making sure that the machines are working perfectly. All of that stuff adds up, and it's just one momentous sort of like annoyance. But this is what the game's all about, making money. So let's go and trundle over to the shop. Let's see how much this is all worth. Okay, so first off, the jar of crystals, and apparently a gold bar that's just hitchhiking around with me. So first off, the jar of gems. As you can see, I mean, this is lagging just by holding this bag of gems. There's 2.5 grams worth of gems in that barrel. That's not bad. Next, the gold bar, worth nearly 4 grand. Next, we'll take the giant sword. This should be okay for chopping people's heads off, and like Game of Thrones style, Ned Stark. 10 grand for a sword. Well, 11 if you think about it. And last but not least, Mr. T's prized possession, the jewelry of a king in the hands of a pauper, making me $47,488. All in all, this machine has made me $65,000 in one 5-minute run. The machine cost me $71,000 in all, which means if I run the machine once more, it's paid for itself. Not a single problem. Or even if I was just to run it for just 6 minutes and not 5. Genuinely, I could probably pay for this machine every single time just doing a 6 to 7 minute run every time. So 70 grand's worth of like lag for $68,000 to $70,000 worth every 5 minutes. I see that as definitely worth it, but at the same time, it's the lag, the cleaning, the other problems you have to incur whilst doing something of this magnitude. And I'm going to be honest, if you're going to be one of those people who, I don't know if you really want to put up with the fact that you have to do this, but at the end of the day, it's all good. Having a machine like this is good if you want to make some big money, or you want to flex on your competitors to say you've got the biggest machine. But in all scale of things, I think most people would just be happy working on a smaller scale. This itself has basically created a problem with the fact that I can only run this for 5 minutes before my game decides it doesn't want to compete anymore. But at the same time, I'm now able to sit there and go, I can make nearly 70 grand in 5 minutes and be very happy with what I've done. Was it really worth the opportunity? Was it really worth the time, the effort, the swearing that things didn't go into place properly? Was it really worth the fact that I've spent nearly 6 hours of my life making this machine and making it properly? I gotta be honest, yes. At the end of the day, I go to prove how much you can actually lag the game within 5 minutes of playing it. If you can build something of this magnitude, you will lag the game for yourself, dropping it down to just 1 frame a second until you turn off everything and make sure that everything's being cooked. It almost has a perfect circle where if you can get the gold from here into there, into crucibles and everything else, and so it melts down that end and still running, then it's all good. But any lag, any bits and pieces dropping around will cause issues. That is the main problem. I'm hoping in 1.3 that this issue will be sorted. But for the time being, this machine will run every now and then. I'll keep it maintained and I'll do other things. But I have got a Goliath build on the in the underground that I can get stuff from. I have got my other plant, which is just running just 8 of these drills, and I can be happy doing this. And at the same time, this is the reason why I set up to have like the separate of the plant running through this one pipe. If I want to just run this, I can literally just run this and be happy. It doesn't cause me any problems, and these crystals power the conveyor belt all on its own. But at the same time, will I miss like earning 70 grand every couple of minutes? A little bit. You know, if I do want to run it and I want the thrill of chasing that much money again, I'm all good. And it just means that I have the actual choice to be able to run a plant at that magnitude, or just a small one on the side whilst I'm faffing around with the game. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and if you have, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe and notification button below for all other updates. But yeah, that's how you make 70,000 in just 5 minutes. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Peace out, have fun, and enjoy everything you guys do. Goodbye for now.